Did you know there didn't used to be a three-point line?
No, there's always been a three-point line.
I think legacy is absolutely overrated when it comes to sports. My South African friends say the NFL's for cowards.
Taylor Swift out there as well.
Travis Kelce.
I mean,
By the way, if he doesn't play well, the Chiefs are not scared to not play players who aren't playing well.
Welcome back to Run It Up right here on DAZN. I'm Master Tesfatsion, joined once again with the co-host, Demetrious Johnson, Rachel DeMita here. And you know how we start the show off. We start off with something that's off the wall, off the cuff. What is on your mind? DJ, I'm going to start with you. What's on your mind?
90s era at basketball was the peak. And you know what? I kind of believe them because there were people who had specific jobs. There was no, you had Charles Barkley, you had Shaquille O'Neal, you had Kobe Bryant, you had Sean Kemp, you had Kobe Bryant, not Kobe Bryant, I already said his name, you had Gary Payton. So my hot take is I believe him. I think 90s basketball is probably better than today's era basketball.
I say cap.
This isn't a factor, cap situation.
It's not, but I'm just going to let you and your taxi driver know that was absolute cap.
This is my hot take.
That's your take. All
and
right.
when he said that to me, I was like, I never thought about that. It made me think of you two, actually.
There's going to be a lot of old heads in the comments being like, yeah!
Did you those
90s
62
basketball.
to 60 basketball games where
NBA sucks!
people are shooting 28% from the floor? Get out. I hate
Did you know there didn't used to be a three-point line?
No, there's always been a three-point line.
No, there hasn't.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
When did this come to play?
it. 70s, right?
80s.
It's 80s, yeah. 80s.
Okay, so we weren't even alive at that
True.
time. So,
Yeah.
come on now.
We weren't, yeah.
Come on, guys.
So-
Well, it still happened, though.
It's all like, that never happened because I wasn't on Earth, so
Yeah.
it doesn't make
All they're doing was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hook shots, and they all are two-pointers.
Oh, I have another basketball-related one. I feel like it's a really hot take and a controversial subject at the moment. But I believe that WNBA players are paid fair.
Oh.
If you break down the numbers, and this is not going against the skill and the athleticism and just the star power in the WNBA, but I think if we look at it, the WNBA in the past couple years have brought in around $60 million in revenue, while the NBA has brought in over $10 billion in revenue. WNBA players also play half a season that NBA players do. However, I do think that their salaries will go up because of the hype that we have around Caitlin Clark and this new draft class and even girls under her. And I feel like it's an exciting time. I'm rooting for the WNBA. I hope that they continue to get paid more and more as seasons go on and they do expand. But I think at this very moment, if we're just looking at the math and we're looking at it statistically instead of with our emotions, the salaries actually are fair at this point in time.
And we'll talk more about WNBA later
We
on the show.
will.
But it's crazy how the reaction came out of that because people didn't understand the financials
economics
behind
of it, yeah.
Which this last CBA actually fixed a lot of that, where you were getting 50-50 split pays now, which they weren't getting that before.
Right. So I think it's the WNBA is also just such a young league. They're only 26 years in, whereas the NBA is, I believe, 78 seasons in. And so if we look at it even in that regard, and we have so many young stars coming up and there's so much more just like media attention and television rights and all these things, that's a really exciting time for these WNBA players. And I think you just have to, be patient and let the fans come in, But if you want to see the women get paid more, you need to buy tickets. You need to be at the games, you need to watch the games on television, you need to buy the merch, you need to support these women in these ways. You can't just be really vocal on social media with your outrage of how they're getting paid. No, you need to put your money where your mouth is and support them.
As someone that has had
that.
WNBA League Pass since like 2017 when it was $15 a month. Now it's like $35 a month, but I automatically renew because it means something.
There's a lot of talent. It's an exciting time.
It's a great time. It's going to be a great season. And again, we'll talk more about that later on here. What's on my mind? The way we frame sports, I absolutely hate it because it all revolves around legacy. And I don't know, maybe I'm just different personally. I don't give two bleeps about my legacy because I'll be dead. So why do sports players and sports athletes care so much about their legacy? And why does every game have a legacy stake involved in it. Like, it could be a first-round matchup, Cavs Magic, and everyone's just talking about, oh, what's the legacy here of Donovan Mitchell? You know, what's the legacy here of Paolo Banchero? You know, like, what are we talking about here? Like, we care so much about legacy. I think legacy is absolutely overrated when it comes to sports. I think we should stray a little bit away from it. I still think it matters when you talk about NBA Finals and championships, but like, I think most of it's BS, to be quite honest with you.
I'll tell you why legacy is important. In my culture, in combat, legacy is a huge thing because when you die, they're going to look back at like, when I die or when I stop fighting, people are going to look back like, holy shit, look at Demetrious Johnson, look what he's been able to do. He was so fluid and all that stuff. That's my legacy that I leave behind.
And I guess it makes sense. I guess it makes sense more in your space because it's like the battle, the honor, like the Greek mythology within that. Like, it's in the mixed martial arts. I just feel like way too many people put stakes on like a regular season game. And the next thing you know, you wake up the next morning and everyone's debating about LeBron's legacy again. And it's like...
Exactly. Especially when...
Well, that's the media not having anything else to talk about, so they create a storyline.
Yeah. But as you mentioned, though, in boxing and mixed martial arts, legacy does matter. Yeah. And as we take a look at this card that's coming up as well here in June, there is a lot to discuss here with something that's pretty unprecedented that I don't think I've ever seen in the boxing world. And we'll ask DJ here in a minute, though. But to set the table up here on DAZN as well, we've got Eddie Hearn's Matchroom going 5 versus 5 against Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions. Something unprecedented where both promotions will have 5 boxers that will be going at it in a very, very unique style of scoring. The breakdown of the format here between these 5 contests will be 0 points for a draw, 1 point for a win, 2 points for a knockout or a stoppage, and then the captains will get double bonus points. It kind of feels like a daily fantasy type of like meets like war games in the WWE in this situation. DJ, have you ever seen something similar to this? 'Cause I've never seen it. It feels unprecedented.
Never in boxing, especially when you see 2 promoters coming together and doing it, right? Because
2 promoters that never talk to each other. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So for people out there who don't understand how boxing works, you have a promoter, and a promoter has a long staple, a big staple of fighters that fight underneath him. And then typically that promoter wants to keep all the fighters under his promotion to basically put the event on the zone. But now you're having 2 promoters come together with their staple of fighters, doing a matchup, 5 versus 5, captains, there's points, a draw, 0 points, and then in the end, the captains will fight and they get 2 points. It's never been done before, and especially in boxing. Boxing is usually like, hey, we have a card, there's gonna be 8 fights, here it is. And I think it's gonna be exciting to watch because, like I said, I've seen it one time in mixed martial arts, and it was a long, drawn-out season, but I think them packaging this way, undercard, 5 versus 5, one promoter versus the other promoter, I love it.
What do you think of the format? Is this something you feel like can catch on in boxing? Are you interested by it?
It's cool because it makes it a team sport when it never has been a team sport in a way, you know? So just something like new and exciting. And I feel like maybe even for the casual fan, it's like, maybe I don't know everyone who was fighting, but I know a couple of these on this team, and that's who I'm going to, root for in this night of boxing. Yeah.
Do you think something like this can expand where you've got 2 promotion heads here, but like, say, could you do like country versus country? Would that be appealing?
For sure.
In other ways in terms of the appeal?
It could expand to celebrities, where celebrities are picking their teams. All of these guys have friendships with different celebrities and things. I think there's a lot of different genres that it could branch out into. And we'll see, obviously, how the first one goes and how the fans like it, if there's any feedback. There's going to be feedback on social media. 100%. We know how this goes.
Yep.
So we'll see, what that sounds like. But it sounds cool. I mean, at first glance, it sounds really cool.
Because boxing's never been a team sport. So
it's
as you mentioned, like the fact, this almost feels in some ways also thrown in like Olympics. Where we talk about like team gymnastics, and rooting for Team USA and everyone to perform all at once and, knowing that everyone has something on the line here.
Right.
This kind of has that same sentiment here.
And maybe there's a little bit more pressure on the fighters because you not just have your own team that you want to, elevate and win for, but you have like your own immediate team that you would in any other match, but you have 4 other guys and their teams that you want to help to elevate. So we'll see how it goes.
I think like what you said, it's just scratching the surface, right? Because right now it's Eddie Hearns, he's the one promoter, and the other promoter, Frank Warren. You have those guys, and you also have there's so many other promoters out there. You have Oscar De La Hoya, who could bring in go to board promotion, bring like 5 of his best fighters. Then you got Floyd Mayweather, the Money Team. I mean, the list just goes on the line.
That just feels like a natural rivalry right there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Oscar De La Hoya is taking on Floyd Mayweather's team. Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya have fought before. I don't know if Manny Pacquiao is a promoter, but I'm sure he's got a whole list of athletes under him if he was a promoter. So I think, obviously they're going to see how it goes, the first one. And if it does very well, I'm up to watching more of that.
We're looking at 5 different fights here in the situation, and we'll focus on one of them in particular here on this undercard. It's Zheli Zhang, Chinese boxer, 26-2-1, 21 knockouts, 40 years old going into this fight, versus Deontay Wilder, 38 years old at this point here. He's been talking about how this could potentially be his last dance at 43-3-1 with 42 knockouts, but he has been knocked out twice as well in this situation. With Wilder, I feel like obviously very prominent name in the situation. We know he's a one-trick pony in this situation, but how much is at stake here for Wilder in this fight?
It's crazy because, a couple years ago, Deontay Wilder was probably one of the scariest boxers on the planet Earth because he would just touch people and they would go to sleep. I mean, you talk about the sheer, power he possessed in his hands.
Whoever wins this maybe has a shot at another title bout here in this situation. When you look at Zhang, and I mean, he's 40 years old as well, but I mean, impressive 21 knockouts and a 26-2-1 record in the situation here. I mean, the winner of this is going to have maybe one last chance to kind of have that leverage to have another prize fight.
Yeah, well, what they're already saying right now, they're basically setting this fight up. The winner of this is going to fight the winner of Usyk versus Tyson Fury, which is another amazing matchup.
But you got Joshua as well. So
you got Joshua as well. So you have, right now, this is probably the best time boxing. The heavyweight division has been very, very exciting, right? Because you got Anthony Joshua, he's waiting in the ring for the winner of Usyk versus Tyson Fury. And then also you have the winner of this, potentially a Zhang versus Deontay Wilder, can step in and fight Anthony Joshua or fight these guys. We've already seen Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Can he get redemption or revenge against Tyson Fury? Or will we have a newcomer coming into the space of the heavyweight division, Zhang taking on Tyson Fury or Usyk or Anthony Joshua? So it's a very interesting matchup right now, what's going on, especially with this 5 versus 5, how it can play out.
Yeah. I'm guessing we're rooting for Wilder. I didn't watch the reality show, so did that get you more emotionally invested in his personal pathway that he's been on, that you want him to win this?
Yeah, especially hearing that he thinks he's at the tail end of his career. I feel like if I were in his position, I would want to go out on a dub. So, if this is the last one, let's, go out on top.
We continue on with Factor Cap here for this card, and we go back to our 5v5 here. Factor Cap to the crew here. We will see more of these 5 versus 5 cards in the future. Factor Cap.
Fact. Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like this will be a success across the board. And if it's not as successful as maybe we hope it is, there's so many ways to kind of pivot and, make it work. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I think fact. Yeah, for sure.
Fact here.
I agree with her. I'm going to go with fact. I think people want entertainment, and I think people want something to tune into and root for. Why not? So there's no reason why this cannot be successful.
I'm going fact too. I think throwing in that new wrinkle in there, I think it's really fun for the fans. I think a lot of people engage to see how it works. And as you mentioned, there's so many different ways you can spin this off afterwards that it'd be foolish just to do this one time and one time only.
Good for betting.
Great for betting.
Great for betting.
Yeah. So many different angles of betting. Bet on yourself.
Bet on a team.
If you're a promotion fighter, you're definitely betting on yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the only way we don't see more of this, the only thing that's going to stop it is going to be greed.
Moving on from 5 versus 5 to 5 aside, as a very fun twist in terms of a classic soccer argument. Pick your 5 aside, but we're going to do that here with NBA players. Which NBA players would be the best on the soccer pitch? The stipulations here, you have to pick 5 NBA players on your 5-a-side team, which includes 1 goalkeeper, 1 defender, 2 midfielders, and 1 striker. I will admit I have not given this much time.
Is this current NBA players? No,
Yeah.
we're all going off the cusp here.
Yeah,
I don't have this
Current
prepped.
NBA players, just sort
Yeah,
of
current NBA players, 'cause I feel like you're going to say
Not
Steve
that I
Nash.
know.
Okay, fine.
That doesn't
It's
count.
fine.
We'll figure
Steve
it out.
Nash is a cheat code that we will not acknowledge.
Fine, I'll put Luka as my striker then.
Ooh.
Because I saw Luka juggling a basketball with his feet, you know, soccer juggling. So there's that.
Okay, Luka's your striker.
My
You want to go defenders?
I don't know. I'm the midfielders. I think I'm going to get back to.
Okay.
The goalkeeper and defender.
Goalkeeper, you want someone tall, someone athletic, lanky.
Yeah, I want someone who can
Also,
also
like
move.
to talk about someone has like loose screws in their head sometimes. Like those are make for the best goalkeepers.
LeBron James for me.
As your goalkeeper?
It's my goalkeeper.
Wow.
Athletic enough. He's long, rangy. He can get to either side of the ball. LeBron James is my goalkeeper.
LeBron James is goalkeeper.
I'm gonna put Giannis in goal
Giannis, the lanky.
because
he can probably reach both goalposts
Yeah.
standing in the middle of the goal.
and also he does have that killer instinct, which I know sometimes gets overshadowed by like his goofy side. But I feel like you give him one goal, this ball is not going into this net, and he'll get to that. So I'm gonna put Giannis there.
Okay, I'm gonna go goalkeeper for myself, Victor Wembanyama, for the same reason.
Fair.
You're going
yeah,
with
that was good.
Giannis. I think Wemby, the footwork,
that's a
the
good
nimbleness, I think he'd be fantastic at that.
Yeah,
So
that's a really good one.
goalkeeper, let's reset real quick. Goalkeeper, I have Wemby. You have Giannis.
Yeah.
You have LeBron.
James.
Your striker is Luka.
Yeah, I have Luka.
We don't have a striker yet.
Steph Curry for me.
Steph Curry's your striker. Why is that?
I feel he's athletic. He's well-rounded. He's got a great golf game. Yeah, I think he'll be a good striker.
I think I would go Anthony Edwards. I know it's off the cuff, but I think he takes a lot of pride in being able to do everything you can possibly think of, and that's what I want for my striker.
Oh, he said that in an interview, did he not?
Yeah.
He said, the lady said, you're good at everything. He said, anything. I'll beat you at anything.
Chess, ping
yeah.
pong, you
he
name
said,
it.
You name it. Yeah,
And that's the mentality I need from my 9, okay? I need you to know that you can do everything you possibly can to try and get the ball in the back of the net. So I'm going to go Anthony Edwards. Steph
All right.
Curry, Anthony Edwards, Luka as your striker. Let's go to defender because I feel like we only have to make one pick there. Defender, it's an interesting one on 5-a-side. You this is your last line of defense for your goalkeeper. So you want someone that's reliable, dependable, a brick wall in many ways. Someone that if it's a one-on-one situation, they will take the guy down and get rid of that, dispossess the ball.
It's hard because I'm like, I think I'm maybe thinking too technically as it comes to like soccer. Like, would they be a good soccer player? You know what I mean? But thinking of straight defense, because I feel like when you think of the typical defenders in the NBA, that's maybe not who I would choose for this in this scenario.
Yeah.
But maybe a Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy Butler, actually, I think
Just
I think that would
because
work.
he has that dog in him, and I feel like that is like kind of your last line of defense. A healthy Jimmy Butler, let's put that out there. But yeah, we have Jimmy, and then we have Giannis right behind. I'll try it.
Make that work.
I'll try it.
I'm going to go with Draymond Green. I hear he's got a great kick.
Yeah.
So
He's got a great slide tackle.
A great slide tackle. So if that ball gets close to LeBron James, he'll kick that boot way out of there. Get that ball back into the center where the striker.
How did I not think of that, actually? That's
what I'm
so
gonna go with.
good.
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green, that's brilliant.
Your team is winning just because of that. Like, just for that pick alone.
I have a hard time with a defender too, because do I want someone big like a Virgil van Dijk or something like that can just beat the center back I'm looking for? He plays for Liverpool.
Okay.
The best center back in the world.
Okay.
He's a monster. He's incredible.
All
Dutch
right.
Dutch defender. Or do I want like a fullback that like can defend but also can create opportunities in the offense? I'm gonna go with Drew Holiday.
Okay.
I
can
think
see that.
tenacity defensively, I think he'll stick like glue to an attacker.
Yeah.
He gives me that fullback type of vibes that I feel like can work really well in this situation. Let me go with him. I think, and a lot of people wrote him off defensively. Didn't think he was still good defensively, and he's proven them wrong.
I
with
feel
the
that
Boston Celtics.
a lot of guards don't get the defensive praise that they should because they're not getting as many blocks and or steals as the big guys are. Just a hot take for next episode. Anyway, I have one of my midfielders.
Oh, who?
You guys jogged my memory. I'm putting Kyrie in there.
Ooh.
The footwork is crazy. No,
Footwork is nasty.
his handles are crazy, but it's going to translate to his footwork. Him and Luka on the same team already. They have that chemistry, so he's in there. My second one, though.
This one's tough. You want someone that can control the game, control the pace, dictate the tempo. Basically, you want it to be the connection, the glue from the defense to the offense. So when they dispossess the ball defensively, they send it to the midfield, and the midfield's able to get it to the attackers and let them run.
Right.
So
it's
someone like a good connective tissue.
who also has like good field awareness, good IQ.
I mean, would you consider Jason Tatum as someone like that?
You can take him.
That sounds like a no.
Go ahead. You can take him. No, go ahead.
I did not want Tatum. I'll throw him out there.
Wow. We all got to pick different here.
Yeah,
We got to have our own teams.
I was just throwing names out there. Guys that I think of that could fall in that category. If you want to throw Jaylen Brown in there as well, potential midfield options.
You know what? Do I go crazy and put like a Jalen Brunson there?
You can.
You know?
I mean, Messi's like 5'7", 5.
That's what I mean.
I'm being probably generous. So.
And I'm throwing this out there also because how the Knicks are performing now without Julius Randle and with so many people just not thinking that they were going to have the kind of season that they have and Brunson kind of putting that team on his back. And so I just think, there's something to be said there, being able to elevate your teammates and have that field awareness, court awareness, and him, Luka, and Kyrie, that'd be fun.
That would be
Giannis
fun.
in the back, Jimmy Butler on that last line. Tough squad.
That's a tough squad.
Tough squad.
I'm gonna go with Kevin Durant, and then I'm also gonna go with Isaiah Thomas.
Hey, you just got back in the league. You're good.
I know that.
Okay.
I know that. Those are my two right there. Like that counts. Isaiah Thomas, he's like 5'6", 5'7", so he's got that little agile movement.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, I picked him because he's tall, got big hands. I think he might be able to do something. You can't use your hands in soccer. So I want Kevin Durant. So that's what I got. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's a solid team there. You got, LeBron James as a goalie, Stephen Curry as a striker, Draymond Green as a defender. Boot stuff out of there.
That's all you need,
So
honestly.
I feel very confident about this 5v5.
This is like a Mourinho team that's like, it's going to be 1-0 games that you're going to be playing on 5-a-side.
Yes, sir.
My midfielders, one of them I felt like was pretty easy. Luka Doncic. I want him to control the game, control the tempo. He feels like the connective tissue.
Wait, I already have him.
I can't pick Luka Doncic?
No,
we just
'cause
discussed
we
this.
said
You
we
cannot
can't have
pick-
the same players. So I was letting you have Tatum.
Oh my God, I can't pick. That's crazy.
No,
Nope,
he's
there's
my
somebody else.
striker.
Damn.
Thank you.
And he's better as a midfielder than he's a striker.
He's already been drafted.
Oh my God. I'll get back to who my attacking midfielder would be. Defensive midfielder, because you're going to have two. I'll go Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard would be a great defensive midfielder, holding midfield. He can help protect and also help connect on the attacking side. I don't know why I agreed to these rules. You took both of my Mavericks players. Like, that's crazy. That's
Should've picked them
really
first.
wild. I was over here like picking very strategically, and Luka was the centerpiece of this team that I don't have anymore. I need someone who's a great facilitator. And Joker's just way too fat to do that. I mean, Messi barely runs anyway. So, you know what? Let me go Joker. I'll go Nikola Jokic. Great connective tissue there. Obviously, a great facilitator. May not be able to run with the best of them. But Messi barely runs anyways, and we call him the GOAT. So
He can face up to KD.
yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got your midfield again. Luka and, you got Kyrie. And
I got Kyrie, Luka, and Brunson.
Yeah, Joker's
We're
not keeping
smoking
up with
all
that.
you guys
he's
down
not
the
keeping up with
field.
that. But you know what? They'll just throw a body at him, little shoulder check. You know?
We gotta know though. You guys let us know in the comments which team you think would win.
Draymond Green.
You guys already know. You guys already know.
Please add Luka to my team. I'm sorry. Like
Nah.
that's so unfair. That's so
First round, #1 draft pick on mine. Are you
Who
crazy?
agreed to you having the first round pick? Who the number one pick? What is this?
Ladies first. Thank you.
Fine. Moving on from hypotheticals of people playing other sports to someone actually transitioning from one sport to another. Big news in the rugby world, in the NFL world. Rees-Zammit is a Welsh rugby star that has been signed by the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. He is a running back, officially labeled as a running back, as he tries to make the transition from rugby to the NFL. A lot of similarities in these two sports, but obviously when it comes to the NFL, it's very hard to transition from another sport to this one because it is so specialized in terms of the skill set. And you're talking about kids that play 7v7 when they're in Pee Wee and Pop Warner, trying to adjust and assimilate to a sport that you've never really played professionally. But this will be a very, very fun signing and to see how this thing plays out because he's got the speed, he's got the capabilities, and he's on a team that could, if they know what to do, the Chiefs, is they know how to use speed with Patrick Mahomes. So this one will be really fun to watch. But I'm very curious for y'all thoughts when y'all heard this news and the possibilities of a rugby star going to the NFL.
Yeah.
It's pretty unprecedented.
Yeah, I think when we do hear about athletes from other sports going to the NFL, it's on the kicking side, right?
Yes.
And something that's like such a specialty. But
Soccer players being kickers or punters,
Right.
Aussie rules football players who are punters now, which is very common in college and
Right.
the NFL. But that's it.
And he's a running back.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to, but I don't know. I'm not so familiar with rugby. I know that it's a very violent sport, as is football. So maybe the transition won't be as tough for him as maybe we might expect because they don't wear pads like football players as well. However, not wearing pads also makes you feel a little faster, you know? So there's going to be, I think the training level might be a shock because going into any new sport, or even when we talk about athletes from college going to pros, the transition is the level of training, the amount of games, the intensity, the travel, that sort of thing. So I think that maybe that will hit him a little bit harder than actually transitioning into the sport itself. Because at that position, it's probably similar to what he was doing in rugby.
I can see that because he probably was an outside guy, and it's very similar to running back where you're getting a toss or you're getting the ball and you're reading defenders and you've got 11 on the other side. So I could see the similarities in that. I do agree with you on the helmet stuff and all the weights and the pads.
You'd be surprised like how much just putting on a helmet changes your running form and how you feel when you're going.
Your frame of view, like your peripheral views. Like it's
Yeah.
really blinders going on when you're trying to have a helmet on. That's very different in a situation compared to rugby players. I love the NFL. I've covered it now for over a decade. This is a sport, my favorite sport. This was my introduction to America, to be quite honest, as an immigrant kid. But my South African friends say the NFL's for cowards because of all the protection, the helmets and all that stuff. And rugby's the pure man sport. And I will say this. I watched some rugby matches in South Africa when I was there a couple years ago. It's so much fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Springboks for winning the World Cup. It was a phenomenal contest. But in terms of rugby and NFL, have you watched much rugby?
Yes. I've traveled over to Australia when I was there for like 10 days. We watched a lot of rugby. And I think this guy's transition from rugby to the NFL, I think it's going to be an easy transition. The reason why is because when you watch rugby, it's a lot of running. It's a lot of running in a gun. And it's like the ball drops, you're throwing it behind you, a lateral throw, you get it, and you're running, you're trying to cut corners. So for him to take that transition to a running back, you think about it, you're running back, tailback, fullback, depending on what the play is. If it's a sweep to the flats, or if I'm hitting one of the gaps, they're going to make that hole for him, right? So as long as he has the speed and he understands like the formation and how like the cadence, blue, but two, and just take off, he'll be fine. But I agree with Rachel. When you wear the helmet, the pads, the pads on your legs, that does, kind of take away your mobility. But I'm assuming he'll be able to adapt very well because it's all about your eyes and how you track and know how the play is going to basically, how the play is going to form out.
Is it tougher being on the Super Bowl champions?
I think it's easier.
Yeah?
Because they have the best of the best, right? They don't have, like, you always see, oh, man, they got a great quarterback, but the O-line can't defend him, so he can't actually make his reads, right? But they have a quarterback that can scramble, that can keep the play alive. They have a great O-line to create the holes. You have the tight end. You have, Taylor Swift out there as well.
Travis Kelce.
I mean, for him going into his very first season in the NFL, he has a lot of things going well for him. He's not coming into a horrible O-line. He's not coming into a quarterback who can't keep the play alive. So I think he's going to do very well in transition into football.
I don't know. I might feel a little skeptical just because I've seen, not necessarily rugby players, but I've seen like players from other countries. Like, say, Germany and stuff. Germany, huge NFL fan base there, and a lot of players are starting to come over. But they come over here, play on the practice squad, make some noise or whatever the case may be, and you don't hear much else from it. I'm hoping that's not the case here because I would love to see other players that can transition into the NFL and make it more of a global game, which I think the NFL is clearly trying to do with going to London, going to Brazil, going to Germany. This would be a great, great thing for the NFL. don't know if that's going to be the case.
I just think the training is just going to be different. I think he's going to have to probably get stronger. I think we don't realize how much NFL players really put in time in the weight room, and probably even more so than rugby, because rugby feels to be a little bit more of an agility speed game, whereas football, you need both.
Yeah.
And to have both, you need to be strong, like very, very, very strong. But also, by the way, if he doesn't play well, the Chiefs are not scared to not play players who aren't playing well. We saw that during playoffs.
Guys
you know
who
what I
can't
mean?
catch the
He
ball.
will be sat. So he'll have his chance, but the Chiefs also aren't going to ride or die, like lose a playoff game because their rugby player isn't doing well.
I will say this about rugby. The dudes in the middle,
Oh, they're massive.
Yeah.
stacked. Just meat slapping meat just in the middle there. Just
Come
hug,
on.
just in there, just in the scrums. That is something to behold. It is absolutely incredible. But best of luck,
Yeah.
Luis.
We'll see.
We'll keep an eye out for you, and hopefully things work out in the Kansas City Chiefs. A season that's about to get underway here, the WNBA. This feels like the most anticipated WNBA season of all time, which sounds crazy to say, but it's absolutely real. When you look at the ratings coming off this WNBA draft, and a big reason behind that is Caitlin Clark, who will make her debut with the Indiana Fever. We're seeing across the board all these WNBA teams, not just the Fever, my Dallas Wings, they've sold out all their season tickets as well for the first time in franchise history. There is a sense of this is the W's moment to get over the hump and enter the mainstream.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in that assessment?
No, I think you're right. And I think that's what everyone is anticipating. And even you look at the Fever, I believe they have 36 nationally televised games this year, which leaves only 4 of them that aren't. So they were anticipating this. They have sold so many preseason tickets already for those games, and even teams that the Indiana Fever is going up against, like the Phoenix Mercury, where Diana Taurasi plays, they have already moved that game to a different arena and have already started branding it as the GOAT versus the Rook. So there's all of these storylines and different things happening. What I've always said for the success of pretty much any sport, and the women's basketball in the WNBA is just exemplifying this, is star players and rivalries. And that's what we're seeing. We saw it in the college game, and I think we're going to see it in the WNBA. I'm a little bit nervous for Caitlin Clark, although I probably shouldn't be, but I am, because there's so much pressure on her. And I think that there's a lot of new WNBA fans who don't know much about the WNBA or basketball in general, to be fair, because I've seen their tweets. And so to anticipate that she is going to come in her first game and put up 30 and put up those kind of numbers and lead the game like she did in college, she could do that. Is it me as a basketball player and knowing the WNBA and how college and the different speeds of the games and physicality, do I think that she's going to do that? No. And I hope that if it takes her a few games, if it takes her a whole season to transition and get to that point where she feels comfortable playing in the WNBA, I hope that doesn't make it so there's any less hype around the game. And I hope that with her, fans are able to see her play, find other stars.
Aaliyah Boston,
right,
on that Fever team. Them running the pick and roll together is going to be a sight to behold. It's going to be incredible. There's
so many great players who just haven't gotten the media attention and the social media attention that Caitlin Clark has had. But I think that she could be, this player we talk about, the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird rivalry when they elevated the game in the 80s. And then we talk about Michael Jordan. It was these superstars that really elevated the NBA. And I think she has the possibility to do that, not only to get more viewership, but to get the girls paid more, to get more excitement around it, to expand the league. So it's a really exciting time. And I don't have predictions on how she's going to play right off the bat, though. I don't know. But I do think she seems like a workhorse. She doesn't seem scared of anyone. But I also know that there's a lot of veteran WNBA players who are going to put her on her ass.
Oh, they're
immediately.
Immediately.
And that's something that happens not only in women's sports, it happens in men's sports too. But I think there's been a focus on it because, again, I think a lot of these new basketball fans are like, oh my gosh, women not being so nice to women. You should be nicer. It's like, it's still sport at the end of the day.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game.
Competition is going to breed this.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I think overall it's just such an exciting time.
What makes her so special, and why do you think her coming into WNBA is going to make a change for the industry in WNBA?
I think there's been multiple things. She's a generational talent. She is a very, very good basketball player. She plays the game similar to Steph Curry, and I think that that's really exciting for people to see this, 6-foot white girl scoring like 30 plus points, shooting from so far back, but not being the most athletic person. And so it's relatable in a sense. So it's like when Steph Curry started doing these things, these kids who were, 5'3", whatever, like, wait, I could do that. I don't have to be 7-foot Shaq to be a superstar in the NBA. It's relatable in a sense.
Okay.
She was also at Iowa, which is a smaller school. It's not, a UConn, a South Carolina, a Duke. It's Iowa. Did we ever talk about Iowa women's basketball before Caitlin Clark? No. So she elevated her team and her players to the point where they were in the Final Four the last 2 years, in the national championship game this year. And there was also rivalries surrounding it, which created a lot of storylines. And so I think it's a mix of things. But number one, the foundation to all of it is that she's a fantastic basketball player. And she puts up numbers, and it's undeniable talent that we haven't seen, and we especially haven't seen in this generation of social media where things can go viral, people can pick up steam, everybody can talk to one another about it. It's not just like you're tuning into SportsCenter every night, and that's how you're catching, which is how we saw when Diana Taurasi played. That's how we heard about her. It wasn't, on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and those things.
Gotcha.
That's why I think the hype is around Caitlin. But I don't know if there's anything I missed.
No, I think I agree. I think that one of the biggest misconceptions I would say about like Steph or Caitlin Clark, like it looks easy because it's not the athleticism of dunking, as you mentioned, or just like being tall. But to make the shots they're making, like these are very, very low probability shots that we're talking about here. That
she's just landing them every single time.
You can shoot the ball. You can try to shoot from half court.
Yeah.
You're not going to make them in the same rate that Steph.
So wait. So she's making it from half court.
Oh,
she's like a couple steps in front. Yeah,
bro,
she's shooting logo three, shooting step back logo
Man,
threes. That's what I'm saying. She's really good.
She's really shooting everywhere, bro.
Okay. Well, that's definitely I feel like that's like the conversation we had, a couple episodes ago about lowering the hoop, right, to making it more exciting. That's how I looked at it as a casual. But if you have someone who's coming in making shots that nobody's really making or even attempting,
right.
I think it brings way more eyeballs to see the spectacle of like, who's this chick from Iowa? She's making shots that men don't even try to make, and she's making it. I can see what people are getting excited about for WNBA.
Yeah, I mean, record viewership we're talking about here with the WNBA draft, where it never even registered, I want to say, over 1 million views. And this one did well over 2 million.
Oh, wow.
Like shattered.
Doubled.
Not even close.
Right.
I think it might have been quadruple.
Wow. Well, like you said.
And in the national championship game, there were, I think, 18.6 million viewers who tuned into the women's national championship game.
Shattered that too. Wow.
Yeah.
Shattered that too.
Well, like you said, the men's NBA has been around for 78 years. And then women's WNBA has been around for what?
26.
26.
Yeah.
So give it another 20 years. I know it's a long time past our lifetime. The money's going to double. The viewership's going to get more,
Oh, the money's rolling in right now.
Yeah.
Like WNBA in terms of coverage, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, of course, as you know, like that's the place to be right now. I don't think there's a hotter league right now domestically in North America than the WNBA.
Yeah.
I guess professionally, I should say, because you could obviously make a case for women's college basketball. But in terms of professional leagues, the WNBA right now is the hottest thing going.
And I think it's a great thing, too. There were talks in the past like, the WNBA season should be at the same time as the NBA season. They should run double headers just to almost like force fans to watch them.
Because it was like a varsity type of like
it
high
was
school
like make
mindset.
them kind of a JV varsity situation. But I think we're proving everybody wrong in the fact that if you just take a step back, let it breathe, these stars are here. The women's game is not the same as the men's game, but doesn't have to be exciting.
Yeah.
And having their season during the summer when you have off season for basketball, when you have off season for football, there's not that much going on is honestly the perfect time.
I agree.
So,
'cause, I think people who love basketball aren't going to tune into golf, where it's totally a different pace.
Yeah.
If you go to NBA to WNBA after the NBA season's over, that is a great transition. Then you're right back into football season, NBA, WNBA, football. It's a good cycle.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just not her in that draft. I mean, You got Cardoso and Angel Reese
playing together, which is crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah,
two rivals in college basketball now playing on the same
Yeah.
team, which is going to make the Chicago Sky so much more fascinating to watch.
You have Cameron Brink in LA, which is a
crazy.
perfect fit for her.
It's incredible for her.
Yeah.
And who's it? Rakea Jackson as well is going with her as well. She's going to be fun. She was dripped out with the Cartiers. You can tell she's from Detroit. Brought an outfit change, like bringing that swag, that drip that I'm sure LA will eat up as well. Like it just, from top to bottom, this draft was just so much fun to watch. And there's so much talent that you could see that continues to come up. The only unfortunate thing is, and something that obviously the WNBA is trying to work on, it's only 144 players. Like we're getting to a space now where expansion is not only just a thought, it's a reality. The Bay Area coming in the fold now with the WNBA, and I mean, that brings in an odd number of teams. And you saw right before the WNBA draft, there's talks of adding other teams in different cities. I'm curious for you, is there like a space that you would like to see a city return back into? Because I grew up in Dallas, and I remember the W when it started. And I hate to cope. I've already vented out how much I hate Houston. But knowing how much the Houston Comets mean to the WNBA, it meant to me watching them as a child with Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, just an unbelievable dominant team that started the league, winning 4 straight titles. It is an absolute abomination that this team does not exist anymore.
We had a team in Cleveland too, which it's like, oh, I know.
What were they called again? The
Rockets?
Cleveland Rock or something like that. Yeah, Rockets.
Was it Rockets or Rockers?
I think it was Rockers.
Rockers.
Yeah, I think it was Rockers.
Okay, yeah.
I just remember the guitar.
Yeah. Well, the courtside seats were so inexpensive. Like we would go sit courtside at these games, because they were like $30 or something. Yeah. They were so cheap. And I remember doing that as a kid, going and watching the WNBA there. But I don't know if Ohio's the place, because I think that they need to get into these bigger cities first. But I do think
Iowa kind of gives you an example though of like maybe some of these, like Connecticut Sun have done an absolutely great job with their fan base.
Fair.
And it's a credible experience.
Fair, but I do think there's a little bit of a celebrity media element that they still need. So yes, you would have the fans riding behind it, but I still think we need a little bit of spectacle of getting certain people to these games to show off on social media, on television. Oh, look, this person was there. This person shares it on their Instagram. And so the bigger cities to me make a little bit more sense. But I think after this season, seeing that the revenue that is being brought in might double, triple, we don't know, then it's going to be a no-brainer that it expands. You know what I mean? And so, again, back to, it's 26 years old. It's going to grow. It's right here. It's right here.
It is here.
So,
and it's a great conversation to be having, because a decade ago, I mean, we're seeing teams folding, not making money. We're wondering if this league can survive. And not only is it surviving, it is thriving in a way that will be incredibly inspirational for the next generation that gets to witness this and inspire for something greater than the Caitlin Clarks and the Angel Reeses that we see today.
Yeah, they are going to, unfortunately, like walk so the next gen can run. But that's legacy. When we talk about legacy, that's legacy.
That's a legacy. That's a legacy that matters. That's a legacy I can get behind, okay?
Yeah,
if you're debating Game 5 of Magic Cavs, get the hell out of my mentions. That's an actual legacy. Yeah. That's trailblazing.
If you elevate everyone's salary, that's legacy.
That's legacy, okay? Not winning Game 2 of the first round of the NBA playoffs. Get out of here with that. Well, that wraps it up here for Run It Up. Appreciate you guys for watching. We will see you on the next one. Later.
Bye.